She called 911 saying, "My lover can't breathe." She didn't know I was listening the whole time. I stayed quiet, recorded everything. 2 days later, I learned the truth, and that's when I stopped being the broken fiancé and became her biggest regret. My name is Noah Walker, and I always believed that love was supposed to make life softer, safer, calmer. But sometimes love doesn't protect you. Sometimes love blinds you until it's too late. And that night, the night everything changed, I learned something painful. The person you trust the most can destroy you quietly, long before you ever see it coming. I still remember the sound. My smartwatch buzzed against my wrist. Just a small vibration, nothing dramatic. I thought it was another reminder or update, nothing important. But then the screen lit up with something strange, an incoming call, and right underneath it, Madison's phone. That confused me for a second. Madison, my fiancé, wasn't even home. She had gone out with friends. At least, that's what she said. So why was her phone calling someone automatically? Why did the audio connect to my watch? Before I had time to think, a voice came through. A woman's voice. Her voice, shaky, panicked, breathless. "Hello? Please, please. Someone hurry, he can't breathe." My heart dropped. My first thought was, oh God, she found someone hurt. But then she said something that made my whole body turn cold. My lover can't breathe, he collapsed. I think his heart stopped. My breath stopped. My hands froze on the screwdriver I was holding. The room suddenly felt too quiet, too slow, like time had been punched in the stomach. For a moment, my brain refused to process the words. My lover. Not friends. Not a stranger. Not a coworker. Lover. Then I heard another voice, a man weak but audible. "Maddie, baby, help." A pet name I used to call her. A name I thought meant we were building a future together. My chest tightened so hard it felt like someone was pushing a fist into my ribs. My vision blurred, and my throat burned like my body was trying to hold back a scream. She didn't know I was listening. She didn't know her phone was connected. And in that moment, listening to my fiancé call another man her lover, I realized something brutal. The woman I planned to marry had already emotionally divorced me. Let me ask you something. Have you ever trusted someone so much that the truth felt unreal? Like your heart couldn't believe what your ears heard? Because that's exactly how it felt. I stood there in our kitchen, the same kitchen we decorated together. The same kitchen where she kissed me and said she'd love me forever, and I felt my world rearrange itself into something unfamiliar. The call continued. The 911 dispatcher asked her questions calm, steady like they had done this 1,000 times. "Ma'am, what's his name?" "Tyler." "His name is Tyler, please help him." Tyler. I didn't know Tyler. At least, not one connected to her. She kept crying, kept whispering, "Please don't die, and stay with me." And every word was a knife, not fast but slow, twisting, dragging, cutting deeper with every second. I didn't hang up. I couldn't. Something inside me, something quiet and cold, told me to keep listening. Not because I wanted to, but because I had to know the truth. After the call finally ended, everything inside me felt numb, like my emotions had shut down to protect whatever was left of me. I sat down on the kitchen floor back against the cabinet I never finished fixing, and just stared at the wall. Minutes passed, maybe hours. Time didn't feel real. Her words echoed in my head. My lover. Baby. Help him. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't throw things or punch a wall. I just sat there in silence. Because sometimes heartbreak doesn't show up as tears. Sometimes it shows up as silence, cold, heavy silence when your mind tries to accept a reality your heart never wanted. When Madison finally came home, it was late. I could hear her keys shaking as she unlocked the door. She sounded nervous already. Maybe she thought she covered her tracks. Maybe she thought she was smart enough to play two lives at once. She walked into the kitchen and saw me sitting there. Her smile faded instantly. Her voice shook. "Noah, why are you awake?" I looked at her, not with anger, not with pain, but with the kind of stillness someone has when they already know the answer. I said her name once. Calm, flat. "Madison." She froze. Then I asked the question of destroying whatever mask she had left. "How long have you been seeing him?" Her face changed, fear first, then denial, then something close to guilt. But before she could speak, I held up my wrist and tapped the watch screen. Her eyes widened. She knew. She understood. She finally realized. I heard everything. At that moment, something shifted inside me. The man who loved her was gone. The man who trusted her stopped existing. What was left? Someone different. Someone quieter. Someone sharper. Someone who was finally ready to see the truth, no matter how much it hurt. Because betrayal doesn't just break you. Sometimes, It wakes you up. Madison didn't speak at first. She just stood there, frozen, like a child caught doing something she swore she'd never do. Her breathing changed short, panicked breaths. Her hands trembled. Her eyes darted everywhere except mine. Finally, she whispered, "Noah, I can explain." I let out a small, humorless laugh. "Explain? You called 911 because your lover couldn't breathe. What part of that needs translation?" She swallowed hard, and for a second, I saw her eyes fill with tears, not the kind born from regret, but the kind born from fear of losing control. "Please, it's not what you think." I raised an eyebrow. "Then what is it, Madison? Because the man calling you baby didn't sound like a paramedic." She flinched. Her legs wobbled as she slowly pulled out a chair and sat down across from me. The silence between us felt thick, like the air itself became heavy. Finally, she whispered, "It just happened." Those 3 words, people use them when they don't want responsibility, when they want to soften betrayal, when they want you to believe love is an accident and not a choice. I stared at her and replied quietly, "Nothing. Just happens. Not kisses, not sleepovers, not calling someone your lover." Her eyes finally met mine, and for a moment, I saw a flicker of honesty, but it wasn't remorse. It was annoyance that she'd been caught. After a long silence, she tried another angle, the familiar one cheaters use when they want to shift blame. "Noah, we haven't been okay for a long time." I blinked. "We haven't?" She nodded quickly, almost relieved to have a script to follow. "You work so much. You're always focused on bills, responsibilities, planning. Sometimes it felt like you were building a life more than living one with me." I let her finish. I didn't interrupt. I wanted to hear every excuse, every attempt to rewrite history. Then I asked, "So cheating was your solution?" She looked down. "I didn't plan for it. It just happened." There it was again. It just happened. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees, and said softly, "Madison, falling in love doesn't just happen. Trust doesn't just happen. Betrayal doesn't just happen. Everything we do is a choice." She looked away, and I could see her jaw tighten. She hated accountability. I took a slow breath. "How long?" Her fingers twisted together. She looked at the floor as if the truth was hiding under the tile. 8 months. 8 months. Not days. Not weeks. 8 months living 2 lives. My stomach tightened, but I kept my expression steady. Then I asked something I didn't expect to say. "Was it serious?" She hesitated, and hesitation was the answer. Finally, she nodded. I thought I loved him." The words hit me like a punch, but strangely, the pain didn't feel sharp anymore. It felt dull, numb, like the wound was too big for my mind to process all at once. I nodded slowly. "So, you were going to leave me?" She looked up quickly. "No, I wouldn't just leave you like that." I cut her off. "Madison, you already did." Her face collapsed into a different kind of grief, not sorrow for what she lost, but sorrow for what she feared losing. Stability, reputation, comfort. She reached across the table, her fingers trembling. "Noah, please don't give up on us. We can fix this. Couples go through things. We just need to grate." I gently pulled my hand away. "Madison, you didn't go through something. You created something. You built something behind my back." Her lips trembled. "I didn't want to hurt you." I nodded. "You just wanted something else more." She closed her eyes, tears falling silently. And for the first time that night, I felt nothing. No anger, no jealousy, just clarity. I stood up slowly. Her eyes widened. "Where are you going?" I grabbed my keys off the counter. "Somewhere quiet." "Noah, please, stay. We should talk." I paused at the doorway. I looked back at her. She looked small, fragile, like someone who finally realized the consequences weren't imaginary. And just before I left, I said quietly, "You didn't lose me tonight, Madison. You lost me the moment you called another man baby." Then I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. My car felt cold when I got inside. I didn't drive right away. I just sat there with my hands on the steering wheel, staring at the empty street. There was no yelling, no heartbreak music, just silence and a slow, painful understanding. The relationship I believed in never existed. I was loving someone who stopped loving me months ago. I was planning a wedding with someone planning an escape route. I was building a future with someone building a second life. And that realization, as painful as it was, did something important. It woke me up. That night wasn't the end. It was the beginning, because the truth had more layers than betrayal. There were secrets, money, messages, missing pieces, and I didn't know it yet. But the rabbit hole went deeper than infidelity, much deeper. And soon, everything would come crashing down. For her, for him, And for the world they tried to build behind my back. I didn't go far that night. I parked near a quiet lake a few blocks away and just sat there, staring at the dark water. The moon reflected on it like a cracked mirror, calm on the surface, chaos underneath. Just like my life, my thoughts were heavy, but my emotions, they were strangely quiet. Shocked as that. It freezes everything so your heart doesn't explode all at once. After sitting there for maybe an hour, I opened my phone not to call anyone but to listen again. To that recording, to her voice, to every detail I missed the first time. I pressed play. My lover, he can't breathe, please hurry. Her voice sounded different from how she spoke to me. With me, she was soft, careful, and polite. With him, she sounded desperate, emotional, connected. Then came his voice again. Weak, struggling. Maddie, baby, I'm scared. My stomach twisted. But then, something strange happened, something I didn't notice the first time. In the background, behind the panic, behind the tears, there was a sound. Typing. Fast typing. Not random panic typing, more like someone entering information. A keypad, maybe. Then Madison said something I hadn't processed earlier. Did you delete everything? His phone, the messages, everything? And the man whispered, yeah. Nobody will trace anything. Trace? Delete? Why would someone in a medical emergency talk about tracing? My heartbeat changed, slow, tense, focused. What exactly were they hiding? This wasn't just cheating anymore. Something darker was buried there. Maybe money, maybe a lie, maybe a crime. I rewound and listened again. Same words, same tone, same chilling meaning. For a moment, I closed my eyes and whispered to myself, what were you two into? The next morning, I drove back home. Madison was sitting on the couch wrapped in a blanket, eyes swollen from crying. She looked up the second I walked in, like she'd been waiting at the edge of her breath. Noah, can we talk now? I didn't answer right away. I placed my phone on the table and played the recording again, only the final part. The part where she talked about deleting things. Her face went pale. She looked like her soul tried to run before her body could move. When it stopped, I finally spoke. Who is he? And what are you hiding? She clenched her jaw. Not grief, not fear of hurting me, fear of exposure. Noah, please, I don't want you involved. I laughed under my breath. You involved me the second you called him your lover. Her eyes filled with tears again. I never wanted things to get this complicated. Complicated? I repeated. You cheated. You lied. You built another life. That's not complicated. That's intentional. Then I stepped closer and lowered my voice. Tell me the truth. She looked around like the walls had ears, then whispered. He's married. That hit me, but it wasn't the shock she thought it would be. Instead, it made things click. The secrecy, the urgency, the panic. So you're the other woman? I said quietly. Her silence was the answer, but she wasn't done. It wasn't supposed to get serious. At first, it was just excitement, attention, someone who listened. I felt something inside me break, not my heart, but the idea I once had of her. She wasn't who I thought. She wasn't kind. She wasn't loyal. She wasn't honest. She was someone who needed validation more than integrity. I took a deep breath. And the deleting? The tracing? What was that? She closed her eyes like she wished she could rewind the world. His wife? She's suspicious. He told her someone was trying to ruin him. He said she installed tracking apps. I stared at her. So, you were helping him hide an affair from his wife? Yes. Then she said something that finally triggered my anger. Noah, you always made life predictable, safe. But he made me feel alive. There it was, not just betrayal, contempt. She wasn't sorry she cheated. She was sorry she got caught. I stepped back and leaned against the wall. For a long time, neither of us spoke. Then I said quietly, I want you out. Her head shot up. What? Pack your things and go stay with him. She shook her head quickly. No, Noah, please. I don't want to lose what we have. I stared at her with a cold, unblinking calm. You already did. She didn't pack. She didn't move. She just kept crying and begging and repeating the same lines. We can fix this. I still love you. Please don't give up. But I was done listening. Instead, I opened my laptop and logged into our shared cloud accounts, something she never expected me to do. Emails, photos, screenshots, receipts. There was more, much more. Hotel bookings, fake business trips, money transfers, $18,000 sent to an account under his name. My breathing stopped. She didn't just cheat. She funded it. She financially supported another man using our savings. My savings. Money I earned. Money meant for a home, a wedding, a future. She stole it. I turned the screen toward her. What is this? She covered her mouth with her hands. No excuse. No lie. Just panic. Noah, please let me explain. You used my money. I was going to put it back. With what? I snapped. Love points? She broke down again, but this time I didn't feel sympathy. Only distance. And something colder. Determination. Because I finally understood. This wasn't just infidelity. It was betrayal. Manipulation. Theft. And the man she risked everything for, he wasn't just a lover. He was part of something she wasn't telling me. Something bigger. Maybe illegal. Maybe dangerous. And if she thought I would walk away quietly, she didn't know me at all. After the dust settled, after the sirens faded, and Marissa's sobs became background static, there was a strange silence in the house. The kind of silence that feels like it's watching you, judging you, waiting. I stood there staring at her, my chest still rising in shaky breaths from the panic attack. Or maybe it wasn't panic. Maybe it was rage. Maybe it was finally clarity. She looked at me like she didn't recognize me anymore, like I was the villain. Brandon, please, say something, she whispered. I sat down slowly, steadying myself, because if I spoke in that moment, I didn't trust what would come out. Finally, I said the calmest sentence of my life. You turned the man you claimed to love into a stranger, and then tried to erase him. Her lips parted, and tears spilled harder. I thought I was losing you, she screamed. You withdrew. You stayed late at work. You stopped touching me. What was I supposed to think? I laughed a hollow, broken kind of laugh. Oh, I don't know, I said softly. Maybe talk to me? Instead of letting a coworker crawl into your texts and your bed? Her face changed, guilt twisting into defensiveness. You pushed me away, she snapped. Alex listened. Alex made me feel seen. You, Alex, I repeated. Not fiancé, not partner, not the man you chose. Just the convenient backup. She flinched, but I wasn't done, not even close. Do you know what's funny? I continued. I wasn't ignoring you. I was planning a surprise wedding weekend, the one you always said you dreamed about. Her breath hitched. A private cabin in Wyoming. Warm lights, snow on the trees, fireplaces in every room. A string quartet, real roses flown in, handwritten vows. She covered her mouth. You were. Yes. I let the words sit in the air. Heaven help me. I was still trying to make us magical. Even when you let him tattoo his name into the space where mine used to live. She broke again, sobbing uncontrollably. But remorse isn't enough to glue a shattered soul back together. The officers eventually finished speaking with us. No charges, just a documented call and a warning to everyone involved. Before they left, one officer pulled me aside. Just giving you advice man to man, he said quietly. Don't give someone the power to almost bury you. And that sentence? It was the match that lit the fuse. That night, I moved into the guest room. No yelling, no insults, just distance. Marissa tried everything, letters under the door, voice notes filled with trembling apologies, soft knocks every few hours. The version of me from before, the man who loved blindly, would have broken. But this version? No, I was wide awake now. 3 days later, Alex reached out, not to apologize, not to take accountability, but to threaten me. The message read, back off and let her go. She belongs with someone who actually gives her attention. If you drag her down legally, or try to ruin her name, I'll make things ugly for you. I just stared at the screen, stunned. Alex thought I was the fool in this story, but he had no idea what was coming, because while he and Marissa underestimated me, I had been quietly preparing. Weeks earlier, long before the 911 call, something had felt off, so I installed a device on the home Wi-Fi network that automatically backed up all connected data, not to spy, just to understand what was happening. Now, that backup held everything: messages, photos, call logs, screenshots, plans, including a full chat thread where they discussed moving in together after taking half of my assets in the wedding. My stomach turned. They hadn't just betrayed me. They had planned to destroy me. And the most poetic part? They documented their whole conspiracy like idiots. The next morning, I walked into the kitchen with a folder. Marissa sat there looking hopeful, maybe thinking this was the beginning of reconciliation. Her hope died the moment I set the papers in front of her. She skimmed the top page. Then her face drained of all color. Divorce? She whispered. Yes, I said, along with evidence of intentional financial manipulation and relationship fraud. She shook her head violently. No, Brandon. Please don't do this. I can fix this. We can fix this. There is no we anymore. She reached for me, and I stepped back. That broke her more than any shouting ever could. In the end, I didn't walk away angry. I walked away aware. Healing didn't happen overnight. Some days hurt more than others. Some mornings, I still woke up expecting her beside me, and some memories still felt warm, even if the ending was cold. But slowly, something shifted. I started realizing that sometimes life removes people not to punish us but to protect us. Sometimes love doesn't walk away, it simply evolves into self-respect. And eventually, I learned the hardest truth. Losing someone who never truly saw your worth isn't a loss, it's a return to yourself. If you're listening, and you've ever been betrayed, lied to, or replaced, please remember, your value isn't measured by who walked away, but by what remains inside you when the dust settles. Forgive when you're ready, but don't forget what the pain taught you. For me, I found something precious in all of this. Not revenge, not closure from her, but peace. And maybe that's the point, because sometimes closure isn't a conversation or apology. Sometimes closure is choosing distance and choosing yourself. Tell me, have you ever stayed loyal to someone who treated you like you were replaceable? Tell me in the comments. Your words might help someone who feels alone right now. And if this story touched your heart or made you think differently, please let me know which city or country you're listening from. I love knowing where our community is growing from. There are so many stories waiting for you on this channel. Stories of heartbreak, healing, betrayal, and strength. In the end, I didn't lose her that day. I found myself,